When Mexican cartels targeted Sam Grayson, a lone trucker on a remote desert road, they thought it was an easy score. Little did they know, the man behind the wheel was a retired Navy SEAL commander, trained for moments like this. What followed was a battle they never saw coming. The desert stretched endlessly under the blazing sun, heat waves rippling across the cracked asphalt of a forgotten highway. Sam Grayson adjusted his rearview mirror, his piercing blue eyes scanning the empty road behind him. At 58 years old, Sam didn't look like much. Gray hair peeking out from under a worn trucker's cap, a lined face that spoke of countless miles on the road. But there was more to him than met the eye. Beneath the unassuming exterior was a retired Navy SEAL commander, a man who had seen combat in some of the world's most dangerous places. These days, Sam preferred the solitude of long hauls, transporting goods across the country and enjoying the quiet rhythm of the open road. Today, Sam was hauling a valuable load, high-end electronics destined for a distribution center just over the border. The job paid well, but the route was notorious for danger. Smugglers, thieves, and cartels often prowled the highways looking for easy targets. Sam, however, wasn't worried. He had faced far greater threats in his time, and his instincts, honed through years of training, had never failed him. The CB radio crackled to life, breaking the silence in his cab. "Heads up, drivers," came a voice thick with a Texan drawl. "Word is, cartel boys are active near Route 42. Watch your six." Sam's jaw tightened, but his expression remained calm. He glanced at the GPS mounted on his dashboard. Route 42 was exactly where he was headed. He reached over and turned the radio down, focusing on the road ahead. "Stay sharp," he muttered to himself, his fingers drumming lightly on the wheel. As the miles ticked by, the barren landscape offered little to distract him. Sparse shrubs and jagged rock formations dotted the horizon, and the only sound was the steady hum of his engine. But years of combat experience had taught Sam to trust his gut, and right now, his gut was telling him something was off. In the distance, a plume of dust appeared, rising into the shimmering air like a signal. Sam squinted, spotting two SUVs speeding toward him from the opposite direction. His heart rate remained steady, but his mind went into overdrive, analyzing every possibility. He had seen this tactic before, two vehicles boxing in a truck, forcing it to stop. It was a textbook ambush, one he had used against insurgents during his SEAL days. As the SUVs closed the distance, Sam calmly reached beneath his seat, retrieving a small black case. Inside was his personal firearm, a compact pistol he always carried for emergencies. He checked the chamber, ensuring it was loaded, and slid it back into the case. "Just in case," he murmured. The SUVs slowed as they approached, one pulling ahead of Sam's truck while the other lingered behind. The lead vehicle swerved into his lane, forcing him to reduce speed. Sam exhaled slowly, his grip tightening on the wheel. He had no intention of stopping, but he knew the cartel wasn't likely to give him a choice. The CB radio crackled again, this time with static. Sam's lips twitched into a faint smile. He reached for the mic and spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Breaker 19, this is Grey Wolf. Got company on Route 42. Looks like they're about to make their move." He didn't expect a response. Most drivers avoided this stretch of road for a reason, but Sam wasn't the kind to back down, and if the cartel thought they'd found an easy target, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. With the SUVs closing in, Sam prepared himself for what he knew was coming. His days of leading missions might have been behind him, but the instincts of a Navy SEAL never faded. Today, those instincts would be put to the ultimate test. The lead SUV swerved closer, its taillights flashing aggressively as it forced Sam to slow down. The second vehicle remained tight on his bumper, boxing him in. It was clear they weren't amateurs. This was a coordinated attack. Sam's jaw tightened, but his expression remained calm. The cartel members thought they were dealing with a regular trucker, but Sam was anything but. Through the rearview mirror, he caught a glimpse of two men leaning out of the trailing SUV, their rifles glinting in the sunlight. The lead vehicle's driver, a man with dark sunglasses and a menacing grin, gestured for Sam to pull over, his other hand gripping a pistol. Sam exhaled slowly, his years of military training kicking in. Every muscle in his body was ready, every nerve honed to react. As the lead SUV began to slow, forcing Sam to brake further, he knew the time had come to act. He reached over and flipped a hidden switch on his dashboard, activating a secondary set of locks that secured his trailer. Whatever the cartel was after, they weren't getting it without a fight. "All right, boys," Sam muttered under his breath. "Let's see how bad you want this." The lead SUV veered sharply, forcing Sam's truck onto the shoulder of the highway. Dust and gravel kicked up as his tires skidded slightly, but he maintained control, his hands steady on the wheel. The moment the truck came to a halt, the cartel sprang into action. 4 men jumped out of the SUVs, their weapons drawn, shouting commands in Spanish. One of them, clearly the leader, approached the driver's side door. "Get out! Ahora!" he barked, motioning with his pistol. Sam rolled down the window slightly, just enough for his voice to carry. "You boys sure you want to do this?" he asked, his tone calm but laced with steel. The leader sneered. "Do as I say, viejo, or I'll blow your head off." Sam nodded slowly, his eyes flicking to the side mirror where 2 more men were attempting to pry open the trailer doors. They were in for a surprise. His reinforced locks weren't going anywhere. He needed to buy some time. All right, Sam said, raising his hands. He pushed the door open slowly and climbed out, his movements deliberate and unthreatening. The cartel members circled him, their weapons trained on his every move. "Open the trailer," the leader demanded. Sam smirked. "Can't do that. You see, it's got a little security feature, needs a code to unlock it." The leader scowled, stepping closer. "Then give us the code." Sam shrugged. "Sure thing." He reached for his pocket, moving slowly to avoid spooking the men. What they didn't notice was the subtle shift in his stance, the slight adjustment of his feet, the way his weight balanced on the balls of his heels. In a flash, Sam struck. His elbow shot up, slamming into the leader's jaw and sending him sprawling to the ground. Before the others could react, Sam had grabbed the rifle from the nearest cartel member, twisting it free and delivering a swift kick to his stomach. The man crumpled, his weapon clattering to the ground. "Move! Move!" one of the remaining men shouted, raising his pistol. But Sam was already in motion. He ducked behind the front tire of his truck using the massive vehicle as cover. Bullets ricocheted off the metal, but Sam stayed calm, his mind calculating every move. Reaching into the cab, he grabbed his pistol from the black case and tucked it into his waistband. He needed to neutralize the threat quickly. Reinforcements could arrive at any moment. One of the men tried to flank him, sneaking around the back of the truck, but Sam anticipated the move. He waited until the man was in position, then stepped out and delivered a well-aimed strike to his wrist, disarming him before knocking him unconscious with a sharp blow to the head. The leader, regaining his footing, shouted orders to the last 2 remaining men. "Kill him, now!" But Sam was already 1 step ahead. He fired 2 warning shots into the air, causing the men to freeze momentarily. "You've got 1 chance to walk away," Sam called out, his voice carrying over the chaos. "Take it, or you'll regret it." One of the men hesitated, his eyes darting between Sam and the leader. "Do it," the leader screamed, raising his pistol. Sam didn't wait. With precise aim, he fired a single shot, hitting the leader's hand and forcing him to drop his weapon. The man screamed in pain, clutching his injured hand as he dropped to his knees. The other 2 men looked at each other, their confidence shattered. They dropped their weapons and raised their hands in surrender. Sam stepped forward, his pistol trained on the group. "Now, you're going to get back in those SUVs and drive away, and if I ever see you on this highway again, you won't get another warning." The men didn't argue. They scrambled back to their vehicles, dragging the injured leader with them. Engines roared to life, and within moments the SUVs were speeding off into the distance, kicking up clouds of dust as they disappeared over the horizon. Sam holstered his pistol and leaned against his truck, taking a deep breath. His pulse was steady, his mind clear. The old instincts had kicked in, just like they always did. Grabbing his CB mic, he spoke into the receiver. "Breaker 1-9, this is Grey Wolf. Situation handled. Cargo secure." A familiar voice crackled back. "Copy that, Grey Wolf. You need backup?" Sam shook his head, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Negative. Just a couple of amateurs who picked the wrong truck." He climbed back into the cab, brushing the dust from his jeans. The road ahead was clear, the sun dipping low on the horizon. As he started the engine and pulled back onto the highway, he couldn't help but chuckle. The cartel might have thought they'd found an easy target, but they'd learned the hard way that Sam Grayson wasn't just a trucker. He was a Navy SEAL, and some battles never really ended. As Sam drove down the now quiet stretch of highway, the desert around him bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun. He allowed himself a moment to breathe. The adrenaline from the encounter had already settled into a calm clarity. The cartel had learned a hard lesson today. Sam Grayson wasn't just any trucker, and his cargo wasn't the kind you could take without consequences. The CB radio crackled to life again. "Grey Wolf, you good out there? Heard there was some trouble on Route 42, said Mitch, a fellow driver running a parallel route. Sam smirked, adjusting the mic. "Just a little excitement, Mitch. Nothing I couldn't handle." Mitch chuckled. "Figured as much. Word travels fast. You're a legend out here, you know that?" Sam shook his head, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Just doing my job." He hung the mic back on its hook and shifted in his seat. The miles rolled under his tires as the open road stretched endlessly before him, but his mind lingered on the encounter. The cartel had underestimated him, mistaking his quiet demeanor and weathered appearance for weakness. It wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. What they didn't know was that Sam's truck was more than just a vehicle. It was his fortress, his battlefield, and his connection to a brotherhood of drivers who always had his back. But more than that, it was a reminder of his Navy SEAL days, where quick thinking and decisive action had meant the difference between life and death. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Sam spotted a truck stop ahead. The familiar neon glow of the sign was a welcome sight. He pulled into the lot, parking his rig neatly between two others. The hum of engines and the chatter of drivers filled the air, a comforting reminder that, no matter how solitary the road seemed, he was never truly alone. Inside the diner, a few truckers glanced his way, their conversations briefly pausing as they recognized him. Word about his run-in with the cartel must have spread quickly. One of them, a younger driver named Tommy, approached hesitantly. "Hey, you're Grey Wolf, right?" Tommy asked, his voice tinged with admiration. Sam looked up from his coffee and nodded. "That's what they call me." Tommy shifted nervously. "I heard what happened out there, the way you handled those guys. That's incredible. How'd you stay so calm?" Sam took a sip of his coffee, his eyes steady. "Calm comes with experience, son. The road teaches you a lot, but so does life. You just have to stay sharp and trust your instincts." Tommy nodded, visibly soaking in the wisdom. "I hope I can be like that someday." Sam offered a small smile. "You'll get there. Just remember, respect the road, respect your fellow drivers, and don't let fear make your decisions for you." As Tommy walked back to his table, Sam leaned back in his seat, feeling the familiar weight of his years on the road and in service. His thoughts drifted to the countless missions he had led as a Navy SEAL commander, the lives he had saved, and the moments that had shaped him into the man he was today. Each mile he drove now felt like a continuation of that journey, a new kind of battlefield where the stakes were still high but the victories just as satisfying. After finishing his coffee, Sam paid his bill and returned to his rig. The night was cool, the stars bright against the vast desert sky. Climbing into the cab, he felt a deep sense of peace. He started the engine, the familiar rumble beneath him like an old friend, and pulled out of the truck stop, merging back onto the highway. As the CB radio buzzed with friendly chatter, Sam tapped the mic. "Gray Wolf here, back on the move. Stay safe out there, folks." Voices responded with affirmations, jokes, and good-natured ribbing. Sam smiled, his hands steady on the wheel. He had no idea what lay ahead. More miles, more challenges, maybe even more hijackers. But one thing was certain. No matter what came his way, he was ready. Because out here, on the endless highway, Sam Grayson wasn't just a trucker. He was a protector, a survivor, and a man who knew that sometimes the most dangerous battles weren't fought in war zones. They were fought on the open road.